Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. So come in here, guys. Get comfortable, all right? Let's just get into it, baby. This is the Kings of Napa, okay? Season 1, episode 4, Dear Wine, and I got my wine, okay? Because we about to get into this episode, all right? This freaking show gets crazier and crazier, and I am loving every minute of it. So we start out, with Dana, where we finished off at, of course, right? Dana's talking about he's gonna bring August down and all of this kind of stuff, and we actually get a backstory of Dana where they saying let's make him an offer. They saying he got his MBA and all the different credentials that he have, and Dana comes walking in smiling. There's something called Cambridge and Sloan, and he's like, so they're like, so you're Dana King, right? And then they tell him to have a seat. He's like, yeah. And then we get them sitting currently, Dana sitting with I think it was Aunt Melanie he was sitting with, if I'm not mistaken, and he's eating or whatever, and he's talking about don't hate the player, hate the workout game. And she was like, I know it's been a little while since we've been together, but I really appreciate you having lunch with me, considering everything. And I'm like, boy, do you want your mother to cut your head off? You over here with Melanie, you know how the hell she is. So he was like, I don't need no pep talk. I'm not a kid again. And he was like, well, I know things is different, and there's a lot going on and all of that kind of stuff. And he was like, listen, did you win, or did your sister win all the prizes? And he was like, it's just Juan, Dana, don't worry about your sister. She was like, Yvette didn't mean that your mother didn't want you and all of that kind of stuff, and your parents loved you. And he was like, love me? So she's actually trying to encourage him and tell him good things about the family, and say the family isn't perfect, but it would be nothing without you, what I'm saying, and you get all the respect that you deserve. And he was like, well, what do you have in mind, auntie? What is all of this about? And so at the same time, you have the family having like a lunch, and you seeing Otis walking past looking at all of them. Mama Vanessa's telling August congratulations. She's saying thank you, mama. They all sipping on wine, okay, and I'm gonna sip on mine too, as they sip. And so they basically saying they did the harvest. They got to get everything trademarked. They got to get signed label. They said, has anybody thought about a name for it? Christian talking about how about Baddie or Black China. They like, no, okay. Then he talking about this is going to be a big hit with the ballers, and they can have it in strip clubs. And, Christian just being Christian. And so basically, she was like, I don't want my wine served in no damn red Solo cups. That's what Mama Vanessa talking about. And then, Yvette says, how about late night? And then Vanessa was like, are we talking about a damn, talk show? And so, everybody's kind of putting their stuff out there. And Yvette and Vanessa, of course, is still kind of on outs. And, August is telling them, like, okay, ladies, chill, all right. Let's bring it back down. And she was like, well, this is supposed to be about future generations, and also would be a great tribute to Dad. And so Dana comes running in, and he's holding up this magazine, and he's like, listen, Asset Makers, they do interviews with the top 40 CEOs and stuff like that. And Auntie Melanie has a writer friend, and she thought that I would be perfectly fit for it. And why not me? You know what I'm saying? So she was like, Dana, you're the top of everything, or whatever the case may be, but you can't trust Aunt Melanie. And he's telling her, listen, she supports me. And then she's like, I voted for you, Dana. And he was like, well, you didn't even want me. You wanted to abort me. So he's still pissed about that. And he's like, I got a photo shoot in a few days, and I need, you to be turned into like a Tinder date or whatever. So, at first Christian is telling him that he can help, and he's like, no thanks, Asset Makers knows my worth. And so he's not really feeling the mama or his wife. Since the wife voted for August, he's still holding on to that as well. And so we like, oh Lord, Dana about to be petty, as Dana always is, right? And so then we get Christian. Well, no, first we get Dana still basically talking to August at this point. And she was like, look, I know you're pissed off right now, but we still haven't been seeing eye to eye, but I'm here for you. And so he talking about, let's not act like that's true, because it's not. In this family, I'm on my own island. And she telling him, look, I'm trying here. And he was like, look, if you want me to accept your semi-apology, I accept it now, go, get out of here. And he basically gets on the daggone phone, and he's like, what? And it's basically, you know, Quincy calling to say he did find a little dirt on his sister, and he was like, you know, he who gains victory suffers with something. So, you know, Dana's like, Quincy, whatever, and he hangs up on him. So then, you know, we have Bridget starting her first day at the new vineyard. They showing her around. You know, she's saying, how often do you guys trim your, you know, vines? They looking a little weedy. And they was like, well, you know, she says, I don't mind getting my hands dirty, and I can help as long as you let me know the product and how you do everything. And they saying, okay. And so they was like, well, you know, I'll show her around and we'll get into it. But they start talking back and forth saying, you know, everything is going to be okay. Everything is fine. And she was like, did I say something wrong? And he was like, no, it's not true. We just dealing with a little problem here. Okay. But it's going to be fine. And so he was like, why don't you finish looking around and I'll go and check on him. So she's like, okay. So, you know, she goes to keep walking and looking. In the meantime, Christian running around with some chick that he got there. He popping a bottle, you know. She was like, I can't believe your ass own this place, and I can't believe you. And he was like, oh, I can't believe your ass, and you finer than I don't know what. And, you know, he actually called her by her first name. I believe it was Sheila, because, you know, when we first met him, he kept saying he calls them by their last names. And she was like, oh, well, you rich and this and that. And he's like, yeah, work hard and play harder and all that kind of stuff. And so she's like, these grapes do look tasty. And he like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And he picks one out for her. And she tastes it. And she like, that's so good. And so he was like, it's good, right? She was like, yes, this is wonderful. So he was like, look, it's almost as juicy as you are. And, you know, he kissing on. So here come Otis clearing his throat. And he like, can't you go trampling somewhere else with your Yeezys? And he was like, look, don't you see I'm trying to show my girl around? So she tells Kristen she didn't like the way Otis talked to him. And he was like, oh, don't worry about him. He knows that I'm in charge. And then he looks and he notices that some of the, you know, some of the plants and stuff like that where the grapes is growing, the vines is looking dry. So he tries to call Bridget, but she doesn't answer the phone. And remember, she just finished saying the same thing about where she's at with the new people. So when she get over there to them, after she finished looking around, she hears them saying that, you know, they have a problem and there's been some coyotes and deers coming around that they want to get motion sensors. She like, well, most people usually just get strobe lights or roller guards. And they like, yeah, we don't have time for all of that. As a crazy person after us for money. And he was like, I'm thinking about buying a gun, you know, and I can't even, you know, control this. And he was like, they want $150,000, we'll be bankrupt. So she like, wait, y'all getting extorted too? And I'm like, wait, they getting extorted too? Like, hold up, what is going on? Okay, the plot thickens. And so, you know, she comes over there basically looking to, you know, tell them what's going on. But in the meantime, you know, we're in the middle of this photo shoot that Aunt Melanie set up for Dana. So, you know, they was already in the mix of that. And, of course, Mama Vanessa's pissed off. She like, oh, he's just doing this to get back at me. You know, why would he have her here? And, you know, his wife is like, he's still mad at me, too. And I need this to hurry up to be over with because I need to get me some. Because, remember, she trying to get pregnant. Excuse me. August is saying, yeah, he gonna have to have it, you know, so everybody is like coming saying, yeah, we need this to be over and done with, all right? And in the meantime, like I said, now you got Bridget walking in and Mama is over it. She's like, look, now you coming, I told you and your mother to stay the hell away. I can't seem to get y'all damn people to stay the hell away or whatever the case may be. You're not supposed to be here. And Bridget had to come out and be like, listen, if you don't mind being extorted, then okay, I'm going to leave you to it then, because I'm coming over here for real business, not all this other bull crap. And y'all need to put this damn interview on hold. And of course, Mama don't know about the extortion because they've been trying to keep her out of it. And she's like, oh yeah, that's right, you don't know. She was like, well, Sean is basically getting extorted too. And so she was like, yeah, wait, did she forget to tell you? Oh yeah, because she's so worried about you falling apart. So of course now August is like, Mama, I can explain. And she tells the lady, like, excuse me, can we wrap this up and can y'all finish it tomorrow? We have a family emergency that we need to get down to. And of course Dana is still worried about getting his damn interview, so he's telling her no, no, no. And they like, come on, we have an emergency. And so of course the mother is pissed off. She was like, someone is threatening our family and y'all didn't tell me nothing about it. I told y'all no more secrets. And Dana's trying to be like, but Mom, we didn't want to hurt you, we didn't want to worry you and all of that stuff. And she was like, back off, I'll speak to y'all when I'm ready. And so she goes storming off now, and we wait for her to calm down and be ready to talk. And then she comes in and all the family is sitting down, and she basically comes in with these grapes in her hand, and she sits down and she's like, okay, now all of y'all tell me what the hell is going on and tell me the truth. Don't be bull crapping me no more. Lay it all out on the line. And Dana, I think, was telling her like, oh, there's some people that's here for the paint and sip. And she was like, look, thanks to Bridget, I now know the secret, okay, but I need all of y'all to tell me what's going on. So August tells them about, it started weeks ago. This was what Dad already had going on. We snuck off after the ceremony. We paid $150,000. So she was like, so all that stuff y'all was saying about the scholarship stuff was malarkey. And Christian is pissed off too. He's like, wait, hold up. I could have helped. Like, y'all keeping me out of this, and y'all had me sitting here babysitting mommy and auntie or whatever while y'all was playing cops and robbers with our money. And so she was like, look, Christian, we had it. And he was like, look, y'all need to stop damn trying to breastfeed me. I'm a king and I'm part of this family too, and y'all should have been letting me know what was going on. And Mama Vanessa was like, all of y'all should be ashamed. I'm done with people lying. She was like, first my husband was lying, then my sister's lying. Our vines could be destroyed. I planted those with my hands, and this is not happening right now. And so Bridget is saying the vines is fine. She had checked on them when she came in or whatever have you. And basically they were saying how she had a gun, and they was like, well, where you got the gun from? The gun came from Aunt Melanie. Melanie is saying she had it because somebody came after her one time and saying Leon or whatever, and she wasn't taking no chances. And so Christian also tells Bridget, I really need your help with these vines, and he's telling her later. So they was like, look, Bridget lets them know, I would have never kept that from y'all. Once I seen it was a problem with Sean and Sean, I knew that I had to come here and tell y'all that too. And so Dana takes this time to be like, oh, well, she was against you and I was with you, Bridget. I always knew you was for us. And she was like, are you serious right now? Like, right now is not the time. At the same time, Quincy comes in and he's like, look, Otis basically works for both companies, y'all's and Sean and Sean. And they was like, wait a minute, aren't you security? So this is another lie that the mother's finding out about, because it's like, oh, he's our PI. And they was like, wait a minute, we got a PI. Then our Yvette come in and was like, I knew it was something, son of a bitch. She was like, you was asking all them damn questions. So they was like, well, Christian, how has Otis been acting around the vines? And Christian is basically like, listen, he could be a pain in the behind, but it's hard for me to believe that he had anything to do with this. And at the same time, Quincy shows them pictures of this $80,000 boat. They saying he purchased it 3 months ago. He just so happens to work with both companies, and both companies is having the issues. There's, what I'm saying? And Sean, they was like, what would be the chance of that? Ain't that much coincidence in the world. And so they like, August is like, I find this hard to believe. I cannot just, accuse Otis of doing something like this. We got to have a conversation with him first, and we got to keep it quiet. And the mama saying, no more secrets, no more going underhanded with nothing. She was like, secrets got my husband killed. Dana want to call the police, and they was like, we need to figure this out before it kills us. August is saying, I'm not going to sit here and call the police on a black man without having concrete evidence for sure. I said, I know that's right, August. Okay, I can understand where you're coming from with that, but we do need to get to the bottom of this and find out, what the hell is going on, because we can't have nobody thinking that they could just get over in that way either and be, extorting y'all and messing with y'all damn vines and stuff like that at the same time. That's not gonna cut it. Okay, so see where mama's coming from with that part as well. And so then we basically had them all trying to brainstorm and try to figure out which way they want to do this, because nobody's agreeing, right? One said want to call the police, the other said is like, wait, let me talk to him, let me figure it out and see what we could do. And so you know, I don't know which way they gonna go with it right about now. And at the same time, you know, Christian is still trying to let them know what he saw and be like, you know, this is what I was calling you about and you not answering me, and we still got to figure that out too. Then we have Sean and Sean actually come in and them tell them what they know so far, but tell them not to do anything, and so they can further investigate and get to the bottom of it. And Sean at first is like, I don't know about this, I don't feel comfortable with this. And then they say, well, you know what, we don't really want to pay out nothing right now anyway. If this is going to help us, then we're going to, you know, go ahead and deal with it. And then you know, Dana doesn't agree with it either. Like I said, they've been arguing back and forth, and Yvette is telling her this is not going to work. You got to find a way to rein him in. You got to find a way to work together and, you know, to basically stand firm and don't let him undermine you. You cannot continue like this. The business is not going to be able to work like this. And Bridget is basically just looking back and forth between, you know, Aunt Yvette and August while she's saying this. And August is frustrated. She looking through paperwork. She looking on her laptop. She's basically like, you know, Dad, what the hell were you involved in? Like, what's really the truth? You know what I'm saying? And then she tries calling Kelvin. And when we see Kelvin, he's laid back in the chair laughing on the phone or whatever the case may be. But when his cell phone starts ringing, he says, hold on. And when he gets on with her, he gonna talk about, oh, August, hey, I'm a little busy right now. Like, you didn't look busy, Kelvin, okay? Busy doing what exactly? But then he was like, are you okay? Because she was basically like, I'm sorry. She's like, yeah, it's okay. That's fine. Just call me back later. So when she looks, I guess she was looking like on the supposed wife that he's separated from, you know, Instagram or whatever have you. And she's seeing that, you know, she has pictures on the beach. She had pictures still up with him. And then she have pictures where she's showing her big ass ring. So August is kind of looking like, wait a minute, she's still wearing her wedding ring. Okay, so what's really good, like I said. And so then we have, you know, Christian basically coming downstairs, and, you know, he's sitting here, with his little Valencia on, and she was like, what's up with this get up or whatever, and he was like, it's Valencia. And so he was like, don't get mad at the drip, baby, you know, it's all about the drip. And she was like, well, it better be all about these damn grapes, okay? The guys in the fields is clowning you. And he was like, how you know about that? And she was like, you know, people talk. She was like, you gotta dress the part and you gotta respect the grapes, okay? And she was like, the harvest. And she was like, it sounds basic, but it's not. And so he was like, you know, the sugar levels got to be stable. You know, he said, so we got to use a refractor. You know, at this point, he does come down with a pencil and paper, and he's taking notes. So you can see that Christian is trying, and he does want to take it serious. And she was like, I'll show you how things work in the production facility. So I love the fact that even with everything that's going on, Bridget is still trying to take the time out. She's still trying to help. She's still showing that it's family first, even though they have not treated her the best, and they probably don't even deserve it in a lot of ways. In the meantime, you know, Dana has been being real funny. He's basically take some pictures by himself. He's taking some with the aunt, but when they were saying, you know, maybe we could get the whole family, or maybe we could get your mother, maybe we could get your wife, he don't even want them in the damn picture. He being so super petty with them. You know, auntie every minute is wiping her sweat going like this through the whole time. And so, you know, she was like, oh, maybe it's all that stuff she be eating or whatever. And then we have Kelvin, you know, texting her while she's in this interview thing with Dana, texting August, and she just basically texts him back a heart. At the same time, she texting Quincy to see if he found anything else out. And Dana's, you know, of course, bigging himself up, talking about his 1600 he got on the SATs, how good he did, you know, in school, how far he went, and much that he got accomplished in business. They asked August how it felt being the only girl. She like, oh, you know, I did okay. I had Bridget as my cousin, and she was always here with me. Christian saying how tight him and Dana are, how they would play different games. And then Dana talks about, oh, well, like the time you broke your ankle, and he was like, that was one time. And so they starting to argue a little bit back and forth. And Auntie Yvette says, keep it cute, y'all. Then the next thing you know, her and Mama Vanessa start throwing words back and forth, and she like, okay, Cersei, I see you coming for me. And so, August was trying to say, can we have a minute? Because I said to myself, Lord, this interview about to be a mess, isn't it? And so he gonna talk about, no, we don't need a minute, Dana. He was like, we don't need a minute, we could just keep going. So the reporter was like, I'll tell you what, let's take 5. These damn dummies, okay? Just like I said, this interview about to be a mess, right? They start arguing, they start putting out there about the extortion, about them refusing to get Otis arrested, about, her being jealous and not wanting him to be able to have his interviews and mess up his interviews, and that they don't respect him and all his accomplishments, and he's the oldest. And so here comes Christian. Well, Bridget is actually the oldest. And they was like, you got middle child syndrome. Miss Yvette talking about, well, I was a middle child. And so, basically, Miss Vanessa says, Dana, the truth is the only reason why your aunt, even set up this interview is because she's jealous of her. She always been jealous of her, and she trying to get in between her and her son or whatever. And he was like, oh, so you don't believe they chose me? And he was like, no. That she was like, that's not what I'm trying to say. And he was like, yes, it is. He was like, you always wanted to try to do this to me through my whole childhood. You basically had me where they wouldn't hire me so I could be forced to work here. And then he gonna say, she was telling him he being ridiculous. He was like, you a manipulative mom. You orchestrated all of this. You've been conducted every move. And so he was like, maybe you're behind the extortion. I was like, what? And then she was like, you take that back. And he basically, they was, the lady coming, she talking about, I'm sorry, we'll have to do another interview at another time. I got plenty. Come to find out, homegirl was video recording it the whole time. I'm like, yeah, y'all damn fools. So he was like, well, you gotta erase that last 5 minutes. She was like, oh, no, I don't. This is our property. So here come Mama and Vanessa. No, that gotta get erased. And then August was like, give me that goddamn tape. And she was like, no can do, we'll be in touch. So now they got all of the argument with everything they were saying all on damn film because they was busy arguing. And of course, when she leaves, they continue to argue. Everybody is shouting at everybody. And I'm like, see, this is why y'all need to get it together and stop playing games, okay? She played y'all lovely. And so then, Miss Vanessa, I should say, she's having the paint and sit with the people, and she's telling them they doing a good job. Here come Melanie, want to talk to her again, and she does admit, I was jealous, and, I had been jealous when I was younger because they always used to call me, Vanessa's little sister and this, that, and the third, and you always had everything that I wanted, and, but she's like, this is bigger than this. I do care about you. I care about the kids. I care about everybody, no matter what. And she was like, I did used to talk to, your husband every week, and there was a lot of stuff he confided me, and he was really scared. Like, he really thought you guys' lives was in danger. You know what I'm saying? This is real. This is not no game. And she was like, he got even set up stuff that if he needed to leave with y'all at the last minute, he would be able to flee the country. So of course she like, oh, you full of it and you always make up lies. She was like, no, girl, go check all his cigar boxes if you think I'm lying. So Miss Vanessa goes off running, and she come in the office. She looking at all the different cigar boxes. And, August is like, Mommy, what are you doing? What are you looking for? Tell me exactly what you're looking for, and I will help you. What is going on? And when she gets to like maybe the third or fourth one, honey, she opened that up, and it was all different kind of passports, money, certificates and things with them with fake names. And it's like, what is going on? Okay, we keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper. What is the tea? What was really happening here? What was they blackmailing him with? What is happening? What's going on? What is the truth? Okay. So they like, oh my God, these is fakes. What is going on here? She was like, how did you find out about this, Mommy? And Miss Vanessa basically was like, from Melanie. So now, of course, we have Bridget and August out. I think the other girl is a friend of theirs. I think that was the same one that was with them in the first episode. They catching up and updating her with everything that's going on, as far as the whole blackmail thing. Then they asking about Kelvin, and she don't know what's going on with him, that things have been kind of sketchy. She don't know where that's moving to. She was like, he hasn't made a move on me. He hasn't even tried giving me a hug. And they like, what? Not even a hug. She was like, well, have you checked his ex? She was like, yeah, she is still wearing, the wedding ring. And so they was like, well, do we need to start boiling bunnies, honey, making jokes or whatever? And she was like, nah. But she was like, real talk, how do we know brothers is being faithful? And she was like, girl, it ain't just brothers, it's women too, it's everybody. And she was like, maybe Kelvin just doesn't want to get stabbed in the heart. And so they was like, are we talking about Kelvin or are you talking about you? And then Bridget was like, doesn't matter. She was like, I gotta go, I'm gonna be late. So of course Bridget is still in her feelings. And I can't blame her, okay? Y'all did Bridget kind of dirty, girl. And you need to come on and fix that, boo. Y'all need to bring that back together, okay? I'm tired of y'all with the mess, all right? And so, anyway, we get the family all together, in the living room again. And she's like, look, we have the entire vineyard. We have the house, the production, the facilities. She was like, we outfitted everything. She said, whoever this extortionist is no match from this tiger, mom. Okay. Now that Vanessa knows everything, she's on top of it. She ain't trying to have it. And she's like, we are going to face this thing head on. I'm like, okay, mama, I hear you. So she was like, we looking and have your PI look into where those passports was made at and, everything that was going on with that. He sees a text from Quincy saying that they got Otis information, and all of that kind of stuff, and they know he had a bank account in the boat and all of that. But they get interrupted by the same reporter coming in saying, you 1%ers that's dysfunctional. Who the hell did y'all call that y'all got my story taken from me? So Mama Vanessa was like, I called up an old friend, honey. And she was like, you can't control the story. And Mama Vanessa said, I sure can. She was like, you see the door you used to get in here? Use that same door and leave out the exact same way. I was like, oh, I know that's right. And the girl gonna run out, talking about unbelievable. And Christian talking about bye 99%. So Dana was like, you called the board for me? He was like, did you know about this? And she was like, yeah, this housewife could do something, because Dana got cute and called her a housewife at one point. So she was like, honey, sit down for a minute. She was like, no matter what, don't get it twisted. We are family. You are my son. I love you. She was like, what your Aunt Yvette said was true. You know what I'm saying? When I seen your little body on this ultrasound, I did get scared, and I got worried about the kind of life that you would have had to live and how hard it would have been for you. But I chose to have you when it was all said and done. And I was like, my baby boy is going to grow up to be a king. And I would make sure of it. You know what I'm saying? So she was like, I'm sorry I called you a random housewife, mommy. And she talking about, it's okay, baby. And she was like, no matter what, I know that you would be able to do what you needed to do, and that your brilliance and everything was needed at the House of Kings. And he was like, well, why you didn't tell me? She was like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? She was like, I just thought that the more that you knew, the less you knew, the better. And so she was like, promise me that you'll never trust your Aunt Melanie again. I don't know about all that though, but she was like, honey, I will always tell you the truth, and I will always give it to you, like raw and plain and simple, straight shot, no chaser. Okay. And so then we have Dana's phone ringing. He's walking away, and he's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Bridget, slow down. And he goes running. So he comes in, and he's like seeing that August is sitting there with Grace, and he interrupts her, and he's like, listen, I'm calling the police right now. That's it. It's no more conversations. He was like, the extortionist poisoned Sean and Sean Vines. And she was like, wait a minute, extortionist, Grace. She's like, what are you talking about? She was like, oh my God, the entire vineyard could be destroyed. And he was like, I'm not waiting for your permission. That's it. He was like, Otis' account basically had $50,000 in it. Then he had an $80,000 both. He had beef with our dad. He's our guy. No more discussions. So he basically calls the police. So in the meantime, Otis comes walking up. The police is there, and they call out his name, and she telling him, Otis, don't, because Otis started flying out of there, y'all. He was trying to get up out of there. He ran to get in the damn van and drove off, but the van crashed. I said, wait a minute, Otis, what's going on here, boo? Like, are you really guilty? I feel like that's too easy, and I feel like it is really not Otis, but they saying it's Otis right now, y'all. Otis went running off, and Otis crashed. So, of course, now everybody's thinking Dana. They telling him he was right, and all of that kind of stuff. And, like, they have to admit it. They didn't think Otis would do anything like that to them. We have August sitting down with Kelvin. I still don't trust him to the fullest. They drinking some wine. you know, but she like, this is good, but ours is better or whatever. And his phone vibrates and he starts texting back. So she's like, well, wow, you know, why don't you just go see whoever it is you're texting and save yourself some time? So then he shows it to her, and it's his son. He was saying, I love you, good night, and he was saying it back. And he was like, I've got a son, August, that's my first priority. And she was like, you know what, I'm sorry. She was like, I've never been with anyone that had kids before. This is something that I have to get used to, and I forget that you have a little one sometime. And I'm like, wait, he got kids? Like, I don't know, August, all right. And so he was like, yeah, this new, you know, this dating thing is new to me too, but I have to let you know that my son is always going to be first and foremost. So she was like, well, that's fine, I don't have an issue with that. She was like, but I have been confused with me and you, like, are we dating? What is happening here? Because you haven't made a move on me, and I've been trying to figure it out. Like, we already been together before. She was like, is it your marriage? He says no. She was like, the divorce is definitely in process. And so he was like, we're not teenagers no more, I want to take my time. And she was like, well, I wanted to be real. She was like, well, what was the last time? He was like, it wasn't just between us last time. You did so much for me. You know, you told your parents what I was dealing with, the abuse, and you know, everything that I had been through. They pulled me from foster care. They found a place for me to stay through my senior year. You weren't just my girlfriend, you were my savior. And so she laughs a little bit at him saying that, and he was like, you know, now I needed to come in from a different place. And I get what he's saying. That makes sense. And he's telling her how grateful he is to her and for her. And he felt like he owed her. And it's hard for a 17-year-old to deal with all those feelings and know what they mean and all of that different kind of stuff. And he didn't want to be with her because he felt like he had to. He wanted to be with her because he wanted to. And she was like, well, you know, you changed course. And he was like, yeah, I could have stayed, but I wanted to go. I didn't want it to seem like I was using you or your family, and I wanted to stand on my own 2 feet. And all that sound good. I could definitely understand it. That sounds like that could be plausible too. But I'm just not fully still trusting you, and I think there are some things and some red flags that you need to be looking out for, August, okay? But she tells him he doesn't owe her or her family anything, all right? And, you know, basically they finally... he telling her, well, you know, even though when we were seeing other people, I always thought about you. You know, you was always still my boo, all right? And I always had love for you. And so, not for what you did and not for what your parents did or the vineyard or any of that kind of stuff, but for you. And so, sounds good, but like I said, we shall see. He was like, and then I realized you moved on and I married Sonia, and that pretty much was that. And so, you know, basically he was like, and now here we are. And so she was like, yes, here we are. And you know, then they had their little kissy kiss, okay? So that was cute. And then I was just still like, it sound good, sound plausible, okay, August, but I would still keep an eye out, all right, girl? And so you have the workers out here working, and you have Christian out here too, and he ain't got on none of his little bling 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 and all this other stuff. One of the workers actually told him, like, I didn't even recognize you without you having it. And he was like, that's all right, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate you, bro. I'm gonna be right back. He was like, I'm out here, I'm working, and I'm doing this. So when he goes in the office, you know, he's like, oh, the freaking cleaning crew been all through here, whatever, and he's like looking and groaning or whatever, because he was like, you know, I guess looking for his tablet thing that he had wrote all his stuff down on. And we see that there's a book bag on the chair. So he picks it up and he's like, oh, well, you know, Bridget probably put my tablet in here. Child, he taking out one thing after another, right? We see some type of like a little binder thing. We see some type of I think it's the drill piece to the, you know, that you drill stuff with. And then he take out another bag and he like, wait a minute, just so fight, you know, which was the poison that they was using. He was like, why would Bridget have this? What the hell? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, oh, sugar, honey, iced tea. Now, I know Bridget ain't the one that's been doing this. Y'all ain't gonna tell me that. I do not believe it. I do not believe it, y'all, okay? So, what y'all think? What's good? Like, Bridget is not the extortionist, right? Could Bridget have been poisoned and stuff? Like, what would be her reasoning for that? Could Bridget be the extortionist? I doubt that, because she's been with them when they've been getting the phone calls, unless she has somebody that she working with and she was doing this because she was mad because she found out that was her daddy before they said it was her daddy. I don't know, y'all. This is crazy. This show getting crazier and crazier and crazier. But y'all tell me what y'all think. Y'all tell me who y'all think is behind this. If y'all think it's a couple people, if y'all think it's one person. At one point I was thinking it was Dana and his wife a little bit, okay, but now I don't think it's them no more. I just don't know. But inquiring minds want to know, okay? Who is doing this? What is the truth? So anyway, y'all, put it all in the comments what y'all thought about this episode, what y'all think we got coming for next week episode. All that good stuff. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Till next time. Okay, see ya. Talk later.